Hello lovely people, it's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room, and there has been no sewing this week. My sewing table is currently covered in gel pens, coloured pencils, paints, paper cutters, you name it. I pulled it all out. It's an absolute disaster in here. I hope you're all doing well and that you're enjoying your crafting too. I'm going to be showing you the junk journal I made. I took a little bit of footage earlier in the week when it was underway, and I've done another clip doing a page through of the finished item. And I've also been working in my new Wreck This journal. I mentioned last time that Annie Claxton had bought another Wreck This journal, and she did one years ago. Well, she did about 2 or 3, I think, years ago. And she was showing them off on her channel the other day, and I was blown away by the level of her artwork. Don't expect that from me. I always say my art is preschool level. I know I said it again in one of my clips that I just recorded, so yeah. But I'm having fun, and that's the important thing, right? So what have I been doing this week? There's been a lot of festival admin. I am running the donation side for 3 festivals this year, 2 of which aren't even in my town. And I've been feeling a little bit stressed about it. I haven't even checked the emails yet this morning. What I try and do is I try and set aside a time for the admin for going on the emails and the spreadsheets once a day. And when I am not doing that, I try and ignore any notifications that pop up on my phone, because I just want to have the rest of my day be stress-free. It's not really that bad, but I think that's probably one of the reasons why I've been having a little bit of a health issue the last couple of weeks. That might have contributed towards it anyway. My shifts were actually quite fun this week, because at the staff meeting last weekend, my boss had said to us all, if you want to adopt a part of the store that you always make sure is looking good and is fully stocked and everything, go ahead, knock yourselves out. So on Thursday and Friday, I decided that the fabric department, this is at Michael's, by the way, the fabric department was going to be perfect. So at least for one little instant of time before someone came and messed it up again. So on Thursday, I spent ages, absolutely ages, just cleaning up the cutting table area. It's a very small cutting table, nothing like we had at Fabricland, which the cutting tables at Fabricland are huge and wonderful. But the Michaels one is about the size of a meter-sized ruler and a little pull-out shelf for the bolt to sit on while you're cutting it. That's pretty much it. So as you can tell, not very large, but it has about 4 or 6 drawers in it. It has shelving, and you just know that those horizontal surfaces are going to get cluttered with crap, right? So I took everything out of the drawers and off the shelving. I wrapped up remnants. I put bits of trim back on their little holders because they did not need to be remnants because they were not small enough. And just generally tidied around until it was perfect. And then on Friday, I spent 2 whole hours just making sure that all of the fabrics were the right way up, because I do not like to see a fabric bolt with its fold on the shelf. I want the selvage touching the shelf, not the fold. Otherwise, it's going to get all dusty and worn. And had to rehouse a few of them because they were in the wrong place. And it's not a very large fabric department. Michael's obviously has a small department of each speciality, because we just don't have the room for absolutely everything relating to every craft. And so a couple of months ago, they got in quilt cottons, they got a few vinyls, a few flannelettes, a few interfacings, and the prices are really, really good. Not advertising here, but I was used to Fabricland prices, and let's just say Michael's is way cheaper, even without the coupon, and you can't play the coupon on the fabric, so I can't even play my staff discount on the fabric, which is a shame. But never mind. I haven't bought any of the fabric there yet. I hope you're impressed with my self-discipline. But what was nice about tidying up the shelves yesterday, it meant that I could get a bead on everything that we had. While I was hanging around in that area, a lady came and said, "You got anything with cats on?" And I said, I haven't been through all the fabrics yet. I haven't had a chance to look through it all, so I don't know. But of course now, I'm pretty confident that if someone says, "Do you have a fabric with this on?" I think I can answer that question. And of course, while I was working in there, tidying up, I got to cut quite a lot of fabric for people because I was nearby and they walked up to the table and plonked their fabric down and I was right there. So that was handy. So I really enjoyed Thursday, Friday shifts a lot. This health issue I'm dealing with, unfortunately, means that my stamina is not as good as it should be. I mentioned in the last video that I'd been having problems with like a raised heartbeat and some irregularity. I was feeling like really hard heartbeats and there was skipping going on, and I was concerned about it enough that I had popped into the emergency room a couple of weeks ago because my doctor couldn't see me that day. And then they had me hooked up to a Holter monitor for 24 hours, and I still haven't had the results from that. But I was seeing my doctor on Tuesday for a different issue. I had had some itchy spots on my back that I was concerned about, and so he looked at them and he had zapped them with liquid nitrogen. And there was one he said he was a bit concerned about, and he said, "I might need to do a biopsy of that one. It might be basal cell." So I went to see him on Tuesday morning, and he looked at my back and he was happy that none of them were an issue. So that's a good thing. Good news, at least. No cutting bits out of my back. And I said, "So while I'm here," I said, "we need to talk about why I went to the emergency room last week." So he listened to my chest just with the stethoscope. He didn't take my blood pressure or anything, but I think he could detect something. And he referred me for an echocardiogram. So I had that on Thursday afternoon after work. And that's just an ultrasound. Thankfully, no drugs, no needles, no being injected with contrast or going through a big noisy machine or anything. Thank goodness. And yeah, there was a lot of irregular activity on the machine as she was looking at my heart and sort of poking her ultrasound thing sort of to see between my ribs. So it was like from the top, from the bottom, from the back. Yeah, she had a really good look around. And it was really obvious that there was lots of unusual activity going on in there. I probably won't get the official results from that until the middle of next week. It'll probably go to my doctor, and it'll also go into my health portal. So what we're able to do here in Canada is you're able to, or maybe it's just BC, but I assume it's the same in the rest of Canada, is that you can go into your app or online and you can look at all of your health information, your record of all your health visits and all that sort of thing, and your blood test results and everything. And so normally when you've been to, say, a visit, like with the hospital, it'll pop up on the app a week later, say. Sometimes the speed of it being updated can vary. Sometimes you're just like, I want to know that result right now, but it's not available. But I think if it's urgent, they probably let your doctor know ASAP so that they can get in touch with you and call you in if necessary. So I'm hoping that at some point during this week, I will get a call from my doctor, who I absolutely love. He is so caring. I've been with that same practice ever since we moved to Canada, and been handed off to different doctors as they retired or their caseload got a little heavy. A new doctor arrived in the practice and took on some of the cases. My doctor, I would say, is in his 30s. He's South African. We get a lot of South African doctors here. And yeah, you can tell he just cares, and he's happy to spend the time with you. You know, he's not just sort of trying to palm you off as quickly as possible to get on to the next patient. Absolutely love him. And I think that's important as well. Someone you can get on with and trust. And he was amazing when my husband got sick a couple of years ago as well. So I don't know if it's going to be a medication thing or not. I really hope that that's not necessary. But on the other hand, maybe that's more of a pleasant option than sort of opening you up and fixing something, or sending, I don't know, sending wires up through your veins, which sounds horrible. There's a woman at work who had that done once, and her body did not like that. It basically shut down and she went into shock. And I'm like, oh no, hopefully that's not for me. So yeah, it's a bit of a worry, and I didn't mean to talk about it at length, but yeah, it's been on my mind, of course, because I've constantly got this increased heart rate, which is making me feel more fatigued and more stressed all the time. All the more important to get the crafty stuff done, right? It's the best way of relaxing and taking your mind off things, I find. So we're going to segue to the clips that I've taken this week of the Junk Journal and the Wreck This Journal, and I'll see you again at the end. It's not time for a vlog publishing day yet, but I thought I'd show you the state of my sewing table. The sewing machine has been pushed aside in favor of papery things. I've got my paint and my crayons and my gel pens and paint brushes and Mod Podge, a little thing of watercolor paints that I've had since for donkey's years. This is my Wreck This journal, which I have reinforced with a bit of duct tape on the spine, because I've started putting things in, and I'll show you that in the next vlog, or in this vlog, thinking ahead here. But right now, what I want to do is I want to play with this product that I bought this week. Let me straighten you up here. Make sure you're not going to topple off the table. So this is Golden GAC900 Heat Set Fabric Painting Medium. Not cheap, cost me about $21, and that was after the 30% coupon that I played when I bought it at Michael's. So it says it's 100% acrylic medium, modifies paints for a softer hand and increased launderability on wearable fabrics, must be heat set. Mix 1-to-1 with golden acrylic colors. Well, I only have Craft Smart cheapy acrylic colors, so we're going with that for the test. Allow to dry completely, heat set as follows: heat press, close dry or iron. And always test for your application, clean with soap and water. Contains formaldehyde. That's probably not great. So I am going to mix a little bit of my yellow acrylic paint with my golden product, and I am going to try painting on this little piece of denim, because I would love to add a little bit of embellishment to the bag that I made in the last video, the one with the pink flower applique. Crash! We are knocking things over. I'll try with a brush, but I also want to try with the end of this pencil, because what I want to do is I want to make little circle dots on the denim as well. So I'll mix it up with a brush just to test things out. And I don't think I'm going to measure. I think I'll just eyeball it. That was probably too much, because this is just a test. It's quite runny. So I'm just having to eyeball the 50-50 portion here. I wonder if it'll actually dilute my colour as well. It doesn't seem to be, which is good. So what I could do, as well as trying the painting, I could also let it dry and then toss it in the wash as well, couldn't I? Just to really test it out. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. All right, that's just... it's really soaking into the denim a lot. Not really doing much at the moment. Hoping it would be a bit more opaque. When I'm building up the layers, it's looking better. One of my colleagues at work did suggest that I might want to use a puffy paint, and then I remembered I actually have puffy paints from one of the... what was it? It was a craft night we had at work last year sometime. I'll have to dig those out. I think I know where those are. I'm sure they're on my bookshelf over there somewhere. That's quite a translucent effect. That would be good, I suppose, if you were aiming to get something that's just a subtle look, or trying to use it in something that's, more like a painting on fabric rather than just something random. Okay, let's dip the pencil in and see what happens. I really, really want to be able to just dot this on. It soaks through quite a bit. I think I'm just going to let that dry and see if I like the effect. And I will go grab my puffy paints and see if I prefer that instead. Okay, I found my puffy paints. I have blue, teal, purple, pink. This is called Galaxy, but I'm not sure what that colour is, but it's a bit dull, so I won't be using that one, I don't think. And white. Sorry about the tin clang. They were in an old cookie tin. Old cookie tins are just the best for storing craft supplies, aren't they? This is what I'm hoping to embellish. It's this pink applique flower, and I was thinking of putting something in that middle purpley section. So probably I just want something that's going to contrast well. Let's hope these haven't dried up, because I've had them quite a long time now. Oh, no, they haven't. Okay, that worked. Actually, I wouldn't call this a puffy paint. It's a dimensional fabric paint. You just have to be a little careful with it. Of course, I'm doing this with my left hand so you can see better. It takes quite a long time to dry this because of the fact that it's not flat. I wonder what this blue looks like. Might not show up enough on the dyed denim. So going back to the acrylic mixed with the golden, this would definitely be good on a lighter fabric if you wanted to like paint a picture or something, or have it be fairly subtle, but not if you want it to really pop. And these dots are looking a little bit, non-opaque for my liking. I was really wanting something that was going to be a solid color that would stand out well against the center of the flower. Well, that was an interesting experiment, but I haven't come to any decisions yet. So this is after a day of drying. It's not a very crisp result, but I kind of like it. The dimensional paint is partly dry. I wouldn't trust it completely at the moment, because whilst it's feeling fairly solid on the outside, it might still be drying on the inside. I don't know. This part where I applied the paint with a paintbrush feels quite stiff, but this doesn't. But then it's dots rather than like a large area. But I think I like this enough that I'm going to try it on the bag. I have a little bit of the stuff I mixed up yesterday. I put a lid on it, and I think it's okay to use. So I'm going to go for it. I hope it works out. Hopefully I won't need to mix up any more. Just going to put a few dots on. Here goes. That's better. I'm having to go over some of the dots more than once, just to make sure it's fairly bright. Now, I did, while I was thinking about this overnight, as one does, I didn't sleep very well last night. I was thinking, oh, maybe I could sew on some beads in the center of this flower. Well, no, I'm not even going to try that. And the reason for that is that not only is there a layer of denim here with the heat and bond on the back, but there's all of the petals that are being overlapped by this center part. So goodness knows how many layers behind there. And then, of course, the back fabric that I built the bag from and applied the flower to. So I don't think that I'm going to get a needle through there to apply beads anytime soon. Now, do I want one more? Let's just redo that one. It's not looking very bright. Oh, that's better. I think as it dries, it's going to end up being a little bit less bright, maybe, but that's okay. Do I want one more? I kind of want one here. Well, it didn't work too well, did it? So there, I think that adds a little bit more brightness and fun, and I can leave that to dry, and then it'll be ready to go to dress for success. And then I can get a hold of the lady who's my contact there and get the bags handed over. I'm itching to make more, though. These denim bags, the last couple of weeks, I've been absolutely obsessed with them, and I've been itching to sew, even though I've been doing my Wreck This Journal, a few pages. I just want to get on with more sewing. Let's just do a quick flick through the things I've done to this journal since I bought it. Been having some lovely cutting, pasting, and sticking, and slicing, hammering time in my sewing room the last couple of days. So first, I put some black duct tape down the side of the spine because I saw how Annie Claxton's journal had expanded in the time she filled it, and mine has already started expanding because of it getting painted in and pasted in and stuff like that. So I'm nowhere near the artist Annie Claxton is, but I'm having fun with it, and that's what matters, right? Everyone is going to do this journal differently. So before I even started on all of the prompts in the book, I wanted to decorate the initial intro pages, which were just nothing pages really. And I had this beautiful page from a magazine with this tree, which is covered in little hearts. And I just loved it. And it said, "Can you believe it?" Francine exclaimed to all who could hear. "Never in my wildest dreams did I believe I could grow to touch the sky." So I've not heard of treeshavefeelings.com, but I thought that was just a beautiful bit of artwork. And then this magazine was, I think it was actually a health food magazine, but it had a lovely picture of the planet. And I pasted in the beautiful green earth, our only home. And then a page full of writing, and then just some bits that were cut from the same magazine that were just really colourful and pretty. I did this writing my name on here. I realised after I'd done it that I had written the bits on the wrong place. So my name in white should have been in here. It's here. I used gel pen. Illegibly, that one. Tiny letters, that one. Backwards. I did it a couple of ways. Like I did the letters backwards completely. And then I did the Nicola, but just the letters were facing the right way. And then big letters. And for my address, I just put the world, planet Earth. And a phone number, I put it's classified because I knew I was going to be showing you this. And I didn't need to share my name and address and phone number, my full name and address and phone number on the internet. And then it was very boring. So I just splidged over it in watercolor paint. Now this page, I initially did something completely different. I cut some letters for my name out of a magazine or multiple magazines. And then I gessoed, and then I put the letters down, and then I painted over it, and then I hated it. And so in the end, I just painted purple paint over everything, and then did one of these, I can't remember what it's called, like a reverse poetry thing, or hidden poetry thing, where you take a book page, and then you just look for the things on the page that you want to keep, and then you paint over what you don't want to keep. Now, I'm not sure if this is finished yet. I may add more embellishment. I may not. So I picked out, in that moment, the strangest thing happens. Instead of pushing each other away, we suddenly seem to be on the same side, wondering, watching, sleeping. Life sometimes gets so bogged down in the details, you forget you're living it. We have completely forgotten to step back and see what we've accomplished. Don't you remember? It was like this. I've always known his answers. Yeah, no specific meaning to it, but that's what called to me. And then I added a few numbers to this. It said add your own page numbers. Now I started doing that, but I got bored by the time I got to 30, so I stopped. This one says leave this page blank, so I ended up just drawing with white gel pen and making this is a black hole. So I didn't really leave it blank because I did actually do something on it. And then there was just one other thing I did. Oh no, two. Poke holes in this page using a pencil, which I did, and then I thought they looked like eyes. So I did a frog face and a happy face and somebody or something snorkeling and another face and another sort of alien with one eyeball and some glasses. And I said, it always feels like somebody's watching me, which is like that song, right? It always feels like somebody's watching me. Yes, please excuse the singing. And then I turned to another page and I started this one. This page is for handprints or fingerprints. Get them dirty, then press down. So I just did a bunch of thumbprints using some acrylic paint, and I thought what I'll do, I had to leave it to dry, so I did something else while I let it dry. But I think I'm going to maybe get a black pen and make little creatures out of these thumbprints. So far I'm having a lot of fun with this journal. I definitely recommend it if you just want to have total mindless fun. Just like being a kid again. So while that was drying, I had a big play with all of this stuff. I don't know what it's going to look like when it's done, but I had a lot of fun. It took me probably over an hour to put all this together, and I haven't assembled anything yet. I have literally just been cutting and gluing so far. But I've got my jute, which I'm thinking I'll probably use to hold it all together. Now, this was inspired by this coffee packet. When I finished the coffee, I just loved the design of it. I loved the color of it. And I thought I definitely want to use that in a junk journal. So I think I'm going to use it as the cover. That's the plan. And I duct taped down here and I added grommets because I'm thinking that obviously I can bind it that way. And I hemmed each end and sewed it with a straight stitch on each end, but not on the top and bottom. And I've left just the threads hanging. So that was the main inspiration. And I definitely found in all my magazines and my other stash of papers and things, I found lots of coffee colored things, gold colored things. And I thought, there's a lot of teal, teal in here. I thought I tried to find some teal to add in. So I'll show you what I've done so far. Let's move that because it's crackly. Okay. The Daphne's Diary magazine was very useful for a lot of stuff. This morning I coffee dyed a bunch of paper. Now this I think is something probably North Americans haven't heard of. I think it's fool's cap paper, which is a longer version of A4 or letter paper. And I had some in my sewing room, probably because we probably brought it over with us when we emigrated here in 1994. So I just ripped some of the text, which has a lovely text on it actually. It's lovely font, I mean. It's a really lovely font on there in kind of a blue writing. I just ripped it so that you could see it, but it wasn't really supposed to be because you can read it. And then I pasted this over the top of that side. I put more things on here and here. And that side I just left with that other half of that on it. So that's one page. Then on this coffee dyed piece of paper, I've only pasted one thing, which just happened to be some knitting in blue. On this coffee dyed paper, I've got a lemon tree, but I love that wall. The background of the wall is the perfect color. And that's all I've put on that one so far. I think you probably shouldn't completely fill every single page when you're doing these junk journals because, you know, you might want to add more. You might want to write in it. I mean, isn't that what a journal's for? This was straight out of the Daphne's Diary again, and it just happened to say coffee, which was perfect. It was a very fall themed magazine. I was trying to avoid pumpkins, but yeah, I couldn't resist that. And this was just on some paper, I think. I'm not sure. It could have been a packing envelope that I had got paint on. I've repurposed some of the brown paper envelopes that I got that I had used to wipe my brayer off when I was printing with the speedball ink. I've also repurposed one of the, what do they call them, craft mailers that Uppercase magazine comes in. And this is part of one of the craft mailers. So I've covered up my address label with this paper. And then there was a sticker out of Daphne's Diary, which had lovely houses and trees on. So that's another section. Another piece of coffee dyed paper with just, this is actually sand, but I thought it was almost coffee colored. So I pulled it out of a beach magazine. Here's this paper again. I've just taken one of the 12 by 12 sheets, folded it in half, used some double-sided tape to hold the pockets closed. So that'll be something that will go in there and can be added to. Here's one of the mailers that I had used to wipe my brayer off with, or cleaned off something. And so I added, this is actually, again, this is actually C, but I felt like it didn't look like C because of the texture. Maybe it's coral. So I rather liked that, and it included a little bit of teal in my contents because, as I say, I was getting a little bit about the brown and gold, and I needed a bit more teal. And on this side, I used some of the text from Daphne's diary, and this is a bookmark from my local library. And I just pasted that where there wasn't much paint. Then this one is coffee dyed paper again, and it has an envelope, just a plain brown envelope, which I've stuck more library bookmark onto, which is actually a Christmas cookie, but we won't tell, right, that that's a Christmas cookie because it was the right color scheme. And inside I've got bread with some lovely turmeric colors in there. And then this coffee dyed paper has another beautiful turmeric kind of picture. And again, more library bookmark. This one has just another beautiful magazine picture on it that's got lots of natural stuff in and looks rather lovely. This coffee dyed paper doesn't have anything stuck to it, but I tried to use my distress ink pad to try and get some not icky stuff, some, like, you know how people use a little round dabber and they dab it into the ink pad and then distress the edge of their papers. Well, I don't have one of those dabbers, so I tried just doing it straight on the ink pad and it didn't really work very well. But that was why that looks messy, and of course that's the same reason this one looks kind of weird on the edges, because it's got stamp ink on it. And even though there was a bit of a break in that one from getting it wet, I left it in because I rather liked it. And there's another one. I think this was from the instant coffee that I used to make the coffee water. I'm pretty sure that's why I've got these rather lovely purple streaks in it. And the lines, I don't know if you can see the lines, but I dried some of them on a wire rack, and so they've got lines. It's very interesting. I did like it. Not sure how I'm going to incorporate this massive jigsaw puzzle. This is one of the puzzle pieces that my friend gave me ages ago. And I covered it in a picture of knitting, turmeric coloured knitting from the magazine. I put some, it was this stuff, a translucent thing out of a pad of paper I had from the thrift store. So I put a strip of that across there, and I put a little bit of paper here and here just to make it a bit more interesting. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that yet, but I want to include it. This is kind of weird. It hasn't quite dried yet. You can still see some of the purple glue, but it should dry clear, she said, hopefully. So it's an envelope with yellow on the outside, orange on the inside. And then this warm hugs thing with the coffee cups on was actually not the right color at all, which is why I stuck the orangey translucent film over it to make it into the right color scheme. And that kind of goes with the coffee scheme as well. This is another piece of envelope that I was using to clean off my brayer. And this is a piece of artwork that my son did. I'm holding it upside down. But he did this when he was a teenager, and I'm trying to remember what I I can never remember what the technique is. It's something to do with wax and alcohol inks, I think. And it's very beautiful. And he's done some that were turquoises, but I thought, oh, you know what? I've just realized I could include the turquoise ones in here because that would help me tie in the cover. Segue to the turquoise stuff. Look how lovely these are. He obviously was encouraged to do the mounting on the card a little bit artistically, which is why he obviously cut this. Strange, but that's rather lovely. And then this one, you can feel the texture. I think they use little irons to add the texture to that. And then they mounted them on greetings cards. But that, absolutely beautiful. And this one too. I absolutely love this as well. He only recently cleared his room of these. He'd been holding on to them for at least 10 years or more. And when he cleared them out, he asked me if I wanted them. And I was like, yes, you are not throwing those away. They're too nice to throw away. So I don't know if I'm going to include these 3 in my junk journal. Maybe I'll hang on to those for a future project. So we'll just keep this one for that. As I said, I'm not sure how I'm going to incorporate these into the cover at the moment. I'll figure that out later. And then this piece of brown paper envelope stuff just got covered in this beautiful paper from Daphne's diary again. There's another Daphne's diary at Michael's right now, the up-to-date one, and it's so tempting to buy it, but they're like $25, and I really have to wonder if I really need it. Of course I don't need it, but I would love it. So these last 2 things I've left for last. I'll show you what they look like when I'm not doing anything with them. Where's the other one I had? Oh, right in my hand. So these things used to be around, some Rubbermaid, they call them take-alongs. They're just food containers, plastic food containers with snap-on lids. And I got them from the dollar store, and I just thought, oh, I'm sure I can use these bits of cardboard for something. So I have 2 more, but today I used these 2, and I covered them on the printed side. So before I carry on, this was really appealing to me because they were actually Christmas colours. They were a nice shade of red and green, and I thought the trees would be pretty. And what have I done? I've covered it all up because it doesn't go with my colour scheme of the day. I have covered the side of this with magazine pages and a stickery thing from Daphne's diary again. And then I put a little envelope inside this one. And I added a little bit of extra security with a bit more decoration. So this can go into the junk journal to hold a couple of different things. And then this one I made with a card from Uppercase magazine. You get a couple of postcard size things with Uppercase every issue, and she encourages you to also make art or to use these or upcycle them into something as well. So I've used some magazine pages to cover it all up. Then I've used this and then covered the join with some of this paper again, which ties into the other stuff I used. And this was the first one I did, and I didn't think of making this one into an envelope or anything. I still could, but I don't think I have any more envelopes sitting around. So that's quite a lot of sticking and a lot of fun. And I want to figure out now how to attach it into my grommet and my binding there. I may have to add more pages to give me something to stick these smaller ones to. But I think that's for another day. For now, I've had a lovely, relaxing time creating pretty mindlessly. And I think I'm going to go and do something else for a while. I have had quite the gluing and sticking and paper cutting week this week, which made a nice change from sewing. I've made a junk journal. I was inspired by this Zavida Coffee Roasters coffee bag, which I bought at Costco when we were coming into winter, and I was like, I need to have a winter blend coffee for the winter. Actually, it was quite nice. I'm not a coffee connoisseur. I only drink it occasionally, but it's nice to have it around. So this took a long time. I did put a little bit of sewing around here because when I glued the stuff on the back of this, it wasn't sticking very well. And so I thought, okay, I'll add a little bit of stitching around it, and it squidged a little bit of glue onto the feed dogs of my machine. So I'm going to have to make sure I clean those well. I put some beads on the outside when I bound it, just for fun. There are grommets in the spine of the cover, but the holes I punched were quite a lot smaller because I just used this 4mm metal punch from leevalley.ca. no sponsorship there. I did a flip through of my pages the other day, which I will have shown you already. So now it's all finished. I've done quite a lot more since then. So we can have a look. When you open this, it's still drying. Please excuse things that are not stuck down very well. There's a magazine page on there to cover up the brown paper. There's more brown paper with some paper on it. This is actually a craft mailer from Uppercase magazine, not brown paper. This was some coffee dyed paper that I stuck magazine pages to from Daphne's Diary. More Daphne's Diary, pretty paper. Magazine paper on coffee dyed printer paper. Bookmark from the library, and some text from Daphne's Diary, and a messy, painty bit of brown paper from when I was painting or printing, I can't remember which. This is a little flip out thingy. Nothing exciting inside there, but you know, you could write in there. Another nice part from Daphne's Diary. I had a couple of things that were just single sheets and not folded pages, so I created a spine by sticking paper down along the join so that they would hold into the book. An envelope with some more library bookmark on there. More magazine pages on coffee dyed. Blank pages to actually write in if you so wish. Magazine page. This is the center of the book. It was just a folded piece of paper that I made into a pocket. I used double-sided sticky tape on the sides. The binding, I was going to use jute, but it was far too thick. So I ended up using just this dollar store cotton that's quite thin. I think that'll be fine. Another pocket, which has an envelope inside it. Right there. A bit for a magazine, because it's got knitting on, and I rather like that. Another bit of bookmark and magazine page. Jigsaw puzzle piece with collage. Thank you to my friend giving me those jigsaw puzzle pieces. That's heavy. That's probably still drying too. More magazine pages. This I decided to just have as a pull-out thing. It's an envelope with this stuck on the front, this mug print, and then the vellum type stuff on top. And I thought, oh, I can't figure out how to make that into a page, or I don't want to glue it down. So I decided it would be a slide-in element. That's the fun thing when you see people making junk journals online. It's always more fun when they have flip out bits or pockets or, you know, interactive parts, which aren't just boring pages. Quite like that. Another bit of that stuff that was messy from paint, and a bit of magazine page, which also is lifting. I think this is Amazon mailer. This underneath these magazine pages, there's Amazon mailer as well. So this is actually 3 layers for the cover. The plastic, the Amazon envelope, and this magazine page. This is the card that my son made. I still haven't remembered what that technique is called. It'll come to me one day. More magazine page. Little sticker from Daphne's diary. And that's the end. So it just occurred to me I could have made something to wrap around it to hold it closed. But I don't think it'll be necessary. I think I might just weigh it down and let it all settle. Because I just remembered that this part, where was it? This part here, it was not sitting nicely. But I think if it sits closed and I maybe put something heavy on it for a day or two, it'll be fine. These grommets look like they're lifting. I don't know how well they're holding onto the plastic. Oh, I hope they don't pop right off. That would be annoying. Anyway, that was a nice relaxing distraction from everything else that's happened this week. I'm revisiting this Wreck This journal, and my fingerprints or thumbprints are well and truly dry now. So I started adding just features with black gel pen. So far I've done a cute little bird. So I'm hoping that the other thumbprints are going to inspire me to figure out what to do with them. I feel like this one needs to be a hedgehog. The nice thing about this is preschool level is okay. Because that's basically what my art skills are. Yeah, I don't think we need to go overboard with that. Let's see, what else have we got? That is the world's worst elephant. Oh my god. Okay, I'm having a hard time coming up with good animals for this. I guess it doesn't have to be an animal, but that's what I was thinking I would try. It's a fish. It needs more fins. Oh no, I smudged my bird. I probably should have started at the top and worked down. Let's do another bird just because they're the fun ones. Let's go. Oh, accidentally gave him a bumpy chest. He's tweeting. That was a lot of fun. I'm going to do another page in here. Look at these coloured pencils. These are so fun. Got a few of them. Oh, this one's broken. I do have a sharpener, a big sharpener somewhere. But these ones, we've had these for years, since the kids were small. And they're multicoloured ones. One's a swirly gold and red one, and this one is primary colours, and this one is red and navy, I think. And that one, again, primary colours. Very fun. Let's have a little go with these. Now, one of the things I used to love to do as a child was just do a swirly picture like this. And then colour it in. So why not now? And with these multicoloured pencils, you can just carry on colouring with the same part of the nib, tip, lead, and they change colour. Or you can just swivel the pencil a little bit in your hand, and then you start to see the other colours. I found my sharpener. I bought this not long ago because I hadn't had a decent one in years, and it's got the bigger hole as well as the smaller hole. So I was able to sharpen that big chunky pencil. It says to colour the entire page, so I have filled it, and now I'm trying to add a little bit of dimension to it by just shading some of the shapes a little bit darker. Just for fun. That's what this is for, right? It's just for fun. Let your inner child play. Oh, I'm happy with that. So what did you think? Have you ever made junk journals? I've made a few in my time. It's not the sort of thing I'd want to do every day, but every now and again I get the craving for some paper crafting instead of playing with fabric or yarn. So that was a lot of fun. So this is what the Reckless journal looked like. I may have shown you that in that first little clip. I just got the really basic one, the one that's been out the longest. And it's already starting to look a bit used and a bit fuller. So I think what I'm going to do next is probably fill in some of the intro pages like this one. And then I'll flick through and I might do something crazy like infuse this page with a smell of your choosing. I just saw Annie Claxton do that in her last video. What did she do? She did rhubarb and custard. She had a rhubarb scent and a lemon scent. And she did this most amazing, beautiful picture of rhubarb. And yeah, I don't know what mine will be at this point, but I know we have a lot of essential oils in the cupboard. So I'm thinking some sort of essential oil and then maybe some sort of picture to go with it. Or maybe what I will do is I'll look through all the magazines. I have such a mess back here from all of this paper crafting. and quite a few magazines that I have purely for cutting up. Maybe I'll look through there and maybe I'll find something like a beautiful picture of fruit or something, and then I'll find the smell to go with it. So I'm not sure if the smell will come first or the picture, but I'm looking forward to playing more with that. It's a really good idea. I've got my junk journal here. It's been sitting under a heavy piece of wood. It's the piece of wood that I use to hammer on when I'm making holes in things. So hopefully it's a little bit settled down now. So it's looking a little flatter. It's quite big, isn't it? It actually smells of coffee because of this cover and because of the coffee dyed papers, which is rather fun. So a slightly different video this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know what you're making. And if you've got any more good ideas for themes for junk journals. And if you've got a Wreck This journal, let me know how you're enjoying that too. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you again next time.